I got a strange going on out here. Something just killed my dog.
Something killed your dog?
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show tonight. Thanks for dropping into the Cryptid Podcast live stream. How's everybody doing out there tonight? As you guys can see, I've got one of my ride and dies, my buddy Josh. Buddy.
What's up, man?
What's up, dude?
Man, just drinking my coffee. Thought I'd come over here and hang out with you guys for a minute.
That's awesome. I'm going to make you bigger. There we go. So look, we got Chavez in there. We got Sabrina, Maggie, Ashes, Christian. Oh, we got Racing on here. Yeah, they're coming in. They're coming. We got Nicole in here. I see Chavez became a new member. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Steamboat just popped in. What's up, Jason? How's it going? We'll wait till we get. Hey, Robin, Carl. Joe Mama, what's up, Amity? Great to see you in here. Katrina, hello. Yeah, they're starting to come in. I think when we get to like 25, we'll start getting into a bunch of the stuff. I want to say thank you so much for jumping on, guys. I love doing these for you. Can't say that I love going solo, but I'll still do it.
It's more fun when you have somebody to talk with, isn't it? It helps.
It is
a lot.
It is.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody, look, Mysteries Unknown is in the chat. What's up?
What's going on, guys?
What's up, Wade? What's going on? Hey, how are you guys? How's your guys been so far? Krista Wilson, what's up? What's up? Dude, what'd you do this week?
Who you talking to? Me?
Talking to you.
Oh man, I worked. Yeah, it was a busy week. Really, really busy week. Worked a lot. Yeah, but it was a good week though, man. Really good week.
So. Same here, man. It's just I don't know. It's kind of like I don't know. It's like this is like the longest week ever. So hey, Carl, what's up, buddy? All right, guys. So this is what's gonna go on. Today is the 7th. 3 more days for the giveaway until it's over again. $2.99. Join the Cryptid crew on the channel, and you guys will get into a drawing for this hat. If anybody out there, or you know anybody that has had an encounter who would probably want to come on the show, send them my way. Let them know that my email address is thecryptidpodcast72@gmail.com. And I got my buddy Josh on here with us. Josh, what is your email address?
Yeah, it's mysteriesunknownpodcast@gmail.com.
There you go. So now you get 2 for the price of 1.
Yeah.
Hey, Christian, can you please send me an email address, or not an email, send me an email. I got to ask you a question. So it's the cryptidpodcast72@gmail.com. I have to ask you a question. So if you could please send me an email and I'll ask my question. All right, guys. So what we're going to do tonight is it seemed like everybody had a good time with me reading stories out of this book. Now, I could go in and find tons and tons of stuff, and I'm going to give all the what's the word I'm looking for?
Credit.
That's it. Credit. I'm going to give the credit to the author of this book, Tony Urban. This is a gift to me from my wife and my daughter. It's called Beware of the Woods, Scary True Tales of the Unexplained. And I've got book 1 and I have part 2 here as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read. I was reading through this today and there are some amazing stories in here. Some I've never heard before in my life. Now I've got like 4 books over here and all 4 have similar stories, if not the same story in them. I have yet to see another one of these stories that have been reproduced in another book. So I'm drinking agua. That's what I'm drinking. And what are you drinking?
Coffee, man. That's what I'm always drinking. Yeah, I drink probably, I don't know how many pots a day. I probably drink fatted up. It's probably not good.
Not good. What's up there? Pork chops and apple sauce.
Pork chops.
All right. So, you guys, we're just going to go ahead and get into it, if you don't mind. And then we'll
Let's do
do a
it.
little Q&A. We'll do some Q&A. So, again, just like if you guys didn't get to see Josh's live stream on Thursday, by all means, we are an open book to a certain extent. So, please feel free to ask questions.
Hey,
Type your questions in capital letters, and we'll answer them. And then I think the best way to probably do that, I think if we can, yep. Can you see the chat?
me? Yeah, I can see it.
If you
I just can't do it. I can't highlight it or anything, but I can see it.
okay, so then what I'll do is I'll star that question, and then I'll be able to
Sweet.
go. So, are we ready to go, guys? Maybe a hat someday. I don't know. We'll see what's going on. All right, here we go, guys. So this one is called Sasquatch in the Smokies. The eyewitness, his name is Mike L. The interview took place on December 20th, 2022. The area of the sighting was Bryson City, North Carolina. The sighting date was March of 1994. Don't make it too scary because I haven't checked under my bed. Now, when you hear me say one of the people's names, so like I'm going to say Mike. Mike is telling this part of the story. And then at the end, it looks like the author, Tony, has like a little Q&A with the person who saw the story. And that's when you hear me say follow up, and that's what I'm going to get into. Okay? So here we go. I worked the better part of my life as a park ranger. What? Here we go. See?
Oh, yeah, that's good.
I put in 20 years of service altogether, most of them in North Carolina, but a few in Tennessee. My experience took place in the former. It was a typical early March night in the Smoky Mountains, a stormy one. The kind of night where trees creaked and groaned with every gust of wind and the rain pelted down in icy sheets. At this point, I had been a ranger for almost a decade. Just a few months shy, actually. I was used to the nights like this. Nights when I spent most of my shifts sitting in my rig, sipping coffee from my thermos. I didn't mind them at all, especially from within the safety of my vehicle. But on that night, I had a distress call from some campers from Greensboro. The kind of campers who like the idea of camping more than the actual reality of it. We see a lot of that here. The people who've have this idolized notion of the forest and nature, one that doesn't include bugs, inclement weather, or digging a hole to bury your scat. I'm not knocking them. I'm just stating the reality of the situation. Anyway, the winds had brought down a pine tree that blocked their way in and out of their campsite. Normally, we might wait until morning to handle an issue such as that, but they had 2 young children, and to say they were freaked out was just an understatement. So I headed their way with the winch on my rig and a chainsaw. It's better to be over-prepared than under-prepared. As I set out towards the location, I could feel the weight of the storm bearing down on me like a malevolent force that threatened to crush me with its power. It sounds hyperbolic, I'm guessing, but in those old woods, that's how I felt. But my worries, or at least those worries, were for naught. The pine ended up being a young, scraggly thing. I probably could have dragged it out of the road with only one arm, but I didn't want to get covered in sap. So I wrapped the winch cable around the trunk and hauled it out of the way. I chatted for a few minutes with the campers who were quite relieved and grateful. We stood there in the pouring rain exchanging thank yous and don't worry about it. And then they were on their way. I sometimes wonder if they'd ever trekked back into the Smokies for a second try, but I rather doubt that. I was back in my truck as quickly as I could, ready to warm up and dry out. As I just cranked the heat on full blast when suddenly I heard a crackle of static and a panicked voice come over the emergency band on my walkie talkie. A voice pleaded for help. It was a hiker who had become lost in the storm and was now in desperate need of assistance. I didn't hesitate to respond. Despite the treacherous conditions, it was my job after all. I drove as far as I could to his last known location and had to hike the last quarter of a mile on foot. The foliage was thick and twisted, with vines snaking through the underbrush and branches clawing at my face and arms. The only light came from the weak beam of my flashlight, which did a poor job of illuminating the way forward. I gritted down my teeth and plunged deeper into the forest, my senses on high alert. As I drew closer to the hiker's location, I felt a sense of unease settle over me like a cold, wet blanket. There was something off about the situation, something that made the hair on the back of my neck stand up. But I pushed aside those doubts and focused on the task at hand, determined to find the hiker and lead them to safety. But as I approached the spot where the hiker was supposed to be, I found no sign of them. Instead, I felt a chill run through my body. The kind my Grammy always said meant someone had just walked over my grave. While I'm not sure about that, I knew with absolute certainty that I was not alone in the forest. It was like a sixth sense had kicked in, telling me the danger was lurking just out of sight. I never had that feeling around people, not even in the few instances where I confronted some newer do-wells like pot growers or poachers. The only time I felt it before was when I had walked down an embankment only to find myself with a mama black bear on one side of me and her cub on the other. Fearing another bear, I strained my eyes to see through the rain and brush and darkness. And then I saw it. A huge, hairy figure looming just a few yards away from me. A Sasquatch. Crazy as that might sound, I was looking at a Sasquatch. Now, I'm a fairly big man, 6'4", a heifer. What? Heftier. Oh, and heftier than I should be. But the creature, it made me look like I was a child. It towered over me by 2 full feet, and I bet outweighed me by at least 300 pounds. I didn't even have a second to react before the Sasquatch bared his teeth and let out a roar loud enough to make my ears ring. I knew then that I was in mortal danger. The creature advanced on me, its huge body emanating a moist, dank heat. I could feel the heat of its breath on my face, and its rancid odor filled my nostrils. I tried to run, but my legs were like lead, and I stumbled and fell to the ground. Just as the creature was about to strike, I reached into my pocket and pulled out a flare gun. With a prayer on my lips, I fired the gun straight at the creature's face, the bright light blinding it momentarily. It howled in pain, or maybe it was just pissed off, but I didn't wait around to find out. I scrambled to my feet and ran as fast as I could. I sprinted through the forest, my adrenaline giving me bursts of energy that carried me through the storm. But the creature was relentless. It chased me through the woods, its bellowing cries echoing through the trees like a battle cry. I could hear its footsteps pounding on the ground behind me, and I knew that I had to find a way to escape. Finally, I saw my vehicle up ahead, its headlights shining through the night like a lighthouse. With the final burst of speed, I sprinted towards it, my lungs burning, my legs aching. I could feel the creature closing in on me. Maybe it was my imagination, but I swear I could feel the ground shake with each step it took. I felt like I was being pursued by some unstoppable force. Just as I reached my rig, I fumbled with the keys, my hand shaking with fear. I finally got the door unlocked and dove inside, slamming the door behind me. I thought I was safe, but then I saw the Sasquatch staring at me via the rearview mirror, its massive body silhouetted against the red taillights. It was staring at me with those glowing eyes, its chest heaving with anger. Then, before I could even start driving, it picked up a large rock from the ground and hurled the rock at my rear window, shattering it into pieces. I screamed and ducked down, trying to avoid the flying glass. The creature howled in triumph, a roar that echoed throughout the forest like thunder. I didn't waste any more time. I shoved the key in the ignition, threw the truck in gear, and sped away. The tires fishtailing in the mud, and for a sickening moment, I thought I was going to lose control. That I was going to wreck and be at this thing's mercy. But the tires caught hold, and I steadied my nerves and drove away from the creature. As I sped away, I could hear the creature see the creature in the mirrors. It's standing in the middle of the road. It was still standing there when I had enough distance between the two of us that I lost track of him in the mirror. I never believed in Bigfoot until I saw one in person, and after that, how could I not believe? And here's the follow-up interview with the author and the witness. I have to ask, what about the hiker who made that distress call? Mike laughed. We found him fast asleep in a cave a few hours later. He was safe and sound and had no idea of the excitement he had missed out on. How did you explain your broken rear window? Did you tell the other rangers or your supervisor what happened? Gosh, no. I soon take a beating. I told them a tree branch had come down and smashed it in. Considering the storm, no one really questioned it. Did you keep that rock the Sasquatch threw? I wish I had, but no. I chucked it out of the truck before I returned to the station. And that, folks, was a Sasquatch in the Smokies.
It's a wild story, man.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on that, man?
I think it's wild. I mean, I think it's pretty scary, man. Like, you know, the way that thing acted and all the behaviors with that. I mean, that's pretty aggressive.
Oh, for sure. You know, and it's when you think about it, you know, that is what it's down south.
Yeah.
So, you know, probably a wood booger, and he's ticked off about something.
Man, they're angry down here. They, you know, in the South, they just seem to be angry. I don't know what that is. I know we joke a lot about the heat and the humidity, but man, it's like something's making them angry, you know?
Yeah.
So it's weird to me how they're different in every different region. You know, they seem to be different based on where they're located, which is really strange to me. That's a whole other element to this that just, I don't know what to do with.
Oh yeah, for sure. I don't know what I would have done, honestly. I mean, if you think about it, you know, this guy said it was easily 2 feet taller than him, and he was like 6'6'3". You know, so you're looking at an 8-footer, and easily 300 more pounds than he is. So that guy might weigh between 190 and say 225. So you're looking at over 500 pounds easily.
What can you do?
No,
I mean, you know, you talk about like they talk about the strength of chimpanzees and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, you think about that, right? And then you think about a creature that's, you know, that much bigger than a human. I mean, you look at silverback gorillas, man, those things get a hold of you, you're done.
Yeah.
I mean, you're done.
But, you know, with the silverbacks, you know, they're so docile. They're so chill. I think the chance of really upsetting them, like just being in their area, I think you're just going to get more bluff charges than anything
Yeah.
from them.
Yeah.
I think you'd have to do something directly to one of the members of their troop and
To do
see,
that.
and see what they do. Because I remember seeing a video, and I don't remember where it was, but it was where gorillas are native of, and this huge silverback gorilla, like literally walked out and sat in the middle of this road, stopping traffic, and then waited for the rest of his troop to come through.
Man.
And then when they were all over on the other side of the road, he stood up and he looked at all the cars on both sides of him, and then just nonchalantly just took himself to the other side of the road.
Crazy, man. They're so smart, I mean, they're very intelligent. I think that they just, I mean, in a situation like that, man, I can tell you the only thing I would do is probably call in the name of Jesus and just, that's all you could do. And it's just, if one of these, here's the thing, man, like if one of these things they want to get you, they're going to get you.
Oh,
there's nothing physically, I don't think, that you can do to stop that. But I don't know. That's pretty wild, man.
I think the only thing that saved his life, or gave him enough time to get out of there, was that flare gun.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny that I had a guest on tonight that I'm probably going to do a Saturday release with this episode. So members, next Saturday, I'll be doing a Saturday release for everybody, but the members get early access to that Saturday release.
Very
so
cool.
And this individual carries, whenever he goes out on this property, he carries a flare gun. He says it's one of those flare guns that are used in, like, on boats and things like that. So, it's not like some of the little ones, like little slap flares that you slap on your knee or you slap with the back of your hand. This is one that you load the cartridge in and you let it go. So, but yeah, and he says and I'm not, who I had on tonight, and Maggie knows who I had on tonight, but yeah, he's had encounters with Dogman.
You don't want to miss this one, guys. It's going to be good.
Not just any Dogman.
No. One of these days we need to do a really deep dive into that again. I know we did that once, but we need to do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Did he say why he carries it? Yeah, he carries it. He thinks that he believes that the flare gun, because flare gun is like phosphorus, so it's going to burn through almost anything when it hits, but it's going to, I think he said that that would probably do enough damage, enough for him to get out of there in time. So yeah.
That's wild.
All right. Let's see here. Oh man, you can't just say that and then laugh about it and not finish saying about bro. I'm not, you got to check it out on Saturday. So you're a member, you'll get early access to it. So I think early access members get it either Wednesday or Thursday. So what isn't afraid of fire? I think everything's afraid of fire.
Everything. Yeah.
So
everything.
But any questions out there, guys, put them in all caps and we'll ask them. Josh, what do you got going on, man? Anything?
Man, I got a couple of interviews tomorrow that I'm working on. Working on a couple of projects and stuff. I got something new for the channel that I'm working on. Kind of gonna call it maybe the unknown files that I'm working on. Cover things other than Bigfoot, possibly. And can still continue to do cryptids and stuff. That's going to be our my bread and butter forever. But something a little bit different. So if you guys got any mysteries you would love for me to cover, you can always email me, mysteriesunknownpodcast@gmail.com. Definitely always up for a good mystery. So
I'm going to find something for you, dude.
Oh, I know you will, man. I know there's one we've been talking about that we're definitely going to do. And I've got to just find the time to do it. I haven't figured out the format yet. A lot of times I get myself in trouble because I'm a big perfectionist when it comes to video and stuff. And so a lot of times, I don't release stuff because it's not exactly up to par what I want it to be. So I gotta stop doing that. But let's see, what's the deal with the on the palm of your hand again?
Bro, I don't remember. There's a couple people I'm gonna ask because I think they're the ones that told me. I don't know if Steamboat knows. He knows about this numerology and 3 and 33 or whatever it is, and my number's a 3. My daughter's, I think, is a 19. I don't know what it is, but yeah. So there's something to do. I think there's some type of correlation with the negative blood and the M on your hand and the numerology or whatever it is. I'm not really sure what all that entails, but I mean, it is what it is. So I know whatever was giving me the stink eye kept away from the fire I built up in the Ozark National Forest. Edward, see that moving ticker across the bottom of the screen? It says my address, my email address on there. Please send me an email. I'd love to hear about that. Ozark National Forest. I love hearing anything from National Forest.
The Ozarks.
Okay, we got another question right here. Have you ever heard of someone hearing something walking around them and it was breathing so deep and rough that they yeah, absolutely.
All the time.
That happened actually to me when I was a kid, on a camping trip with my dad and my brother, my uncle, his friend, 2 of his neighbors, and his neighbors each brought one of their sons. And like, I want to say it was like the 3rd night, they were walking around our tent. You heard them breathing. One actually took its hands, claws, whatever you want to call it, and dragged their claws all the way down one side of the tent, across the back side, and on the other side of the tent before it took off into the woods. So, so yeah.
Still one of the, man, that encounter you talk about, man, that one still gets me. That's whew.
Well,
Let's see.
a couple years before that, that's where it untied my boot.
Yeah.
Something
so wild,
untied my
man.
boot.
That's so wild.
Josh, did you see? Josh, you did my interview. Did you see the one I did with Flash of Beauty with my buddy Mark?
I did not, guys. I did not see that. I try my best to. There's a few shows that I watch, and I try not to watch too many because I think Daniel can attest to this. Is like I want to make sure that I keep things very fresh, and I don't want to get sucked in and get burnt out. So I try to just not listen to many. Daniel's one I listen to. There's a handful that I'll listen to, and not that I say I don't check stuff out. I try to keep my mind fresh, and I try not to, just listen to that all day long, or I'll be so burnt out. You'll be able to tell on this show. You know what I mean, Daniel? I'm sure you can.
Yeah.
To that.
No, 100%. And I'll be honest with you. A lot of the people who are new don't realize that what I was putting out episodes Monday, Wednesday, Friday,
yeah, man.
Saturday member only, doing a live show with Josh. I mean, I was busy, and I started getting burned out.
Burning it.
I started getting burned out, and now I'm down just doing a Wednesday release. Once a month, I do a Saturday release, and then I do my Saturday night live stream. But
it's
Josh,
so easy to do.
Tell us about your channel. If anybody hasn't seen it, tell us about your channel. When do you release things? Yeah,
so I, if you guys who don't know me, I'm the host of Mysteries Unknown, and I do release every single Monday, 11:30 Central Time. It's an interview with somebody who's had a Bigfoot or a Dogman encounter, and they're generally anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour long. So I do that, and then periodically I do a live show on Thursdays, Thursday nights, sometimes generally between 7 or 8 o'clock Central Time. And so, those are kind of periodic, and I'm going to be dropping this as soon as I can get the format figured out, guys. I don't have anything set in stone, but, I'm going to be dropping this other series where we cover other kind of mysteries and stuff, probably once a month, once every other month, something like that, just playing around with some stuff. But so that's my channel. You can always email me at mysteriesunknownpodcast@gmail.com.
There you go, guys. All right. You guys ready for another story? give me a 1 in the chat if you're ready for another story, or you just want me to shut up and we'll just talk about nonsense, I guess.
Oh, you do good, man. You do good.
Okay, well, here's one real quick. Here we go. So Wade asked, this is for everyone. Which cryptid would you like to see if you haven't seen it? I'm kind of intrigued by the little people that haven't been sighted. I'm going to be honest with you. I want to see Mothman. I want to see a Dogman.
Oof.
And I want to see the Kushtaka. That's see.
I'm content seeing Bigfoot. I'm good. I wouldn't mind to see another Bigfoot from a distance. I wouldn't mind seeing one again, but I have no interest in seeing a Dogman. I have zero interest in that. Zero. So I'm more than content to film documentaries about them and to cover people's stories, but that's as far as I want to go.
Yeah, see, Amity and I we're both want to see Dogman. Yes.
Yeah. I don't know. Let me check you got a fever, man? You feeling okay?
I feel perfectly fine. I feel perfectly fine. Yeah, little people intrigue me as well. And it's funny because people call it the Dan H show because I had Daniel Hammond, who's an author out of Canada, and he's writing another book, and he came on the show, and one of the stories he told me was about a little people, and so I would definitely like to see one of those as well. And Tony, what's up, buddy?
Hey, Sabrina had a question, I think.
Okay, let's see what she's got here. What's the most compelling piece of evidence you guys have come across? Oh,
you want to go first?
Yeah, we'll go first. Let's see here. How about this one? That one is always compelling.
That one still gets me, man. I think probably the one that is super compelling to me is the one that we kind of talked about it the other day, that the person doesn't mind us talking about it, but we just can't show it. And that one to me is extremely compelling. When I saw both of those videos that were sent to me, we talked to them about on my show. I was like, man, these are bananas. Those are nuts. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. But hey, bro, I'm going to have to jump off here, man.
You're good, man. Not a problem. Not a problem.
Just wanted to say hi to everybody. Wanted to jump on and come on here for a second. But I hope you guys have an awesome show. It's good to see everybody.
All right, bud. I'll let you later, man.
Bye.
All right, bye. All right, guys. That was my bro, Josh. You know, he got some things going on that he's taking care of. But, you know, anytime I get a chance to see him, every chance to get a chance to talk to him, you know, it just kind of gives me a little rejuvenation in doing a lot of this. I love doing this. I love seeing, you know, I mean, Randy's new to me. I mean, I'm sure he might have come in once or twice into either Josh's chat or mine, but you know, running solo, so I'm gonna miss some stuff. I'm gonna kind of go back a few things, but let's get into this next story, guys. Okay, before I get into this story, I'm gonna give you guys a choice. Okay, so if you want to hear about an alien encounter in Washington State, so alien, hit 1. If you want to hear about a flying cryptid, hit 2. Or if you want to hear about the Rugaroo from Louisiana, hit 3. Okay, flying cryptid. So 1 is an alien, 2 is a flying cryptid, and the Rugaroo is number 3. Okay. 3K. They all sound good. Okay. I'm going to do Flying Cryptid first, Rugaroo second, and then the Alien third. Okay. So let me get to the Flying Cryptid. In West by God, Virginia. All right. Oh, okay. To me, it looks like the picture they're describing kind of looks like the Mothman. All right, so here we go. Flying Cryptid in West Virginia. The witness's name is Elena G. She was interviewed on July 2nd, 2019 in Ripley, West Virginia. I know where that is. And her sighting took place in May of 2015. So Elena says, as a history major, I was always interested in exploring the past, even if it meant wandering around in the middle of nowhere. So, when I heard about a cemetery from the late 1700s lost to time in the middle of the forest, I could not resist trying to find it. I packed my bag with the essentials, water, snacks, and some toilet paper, and set off on my adventure. The hike through the woods in search of the cemetery was long and confusing, but I was determined to find it. I trekked through the dense forest, following a narrow path that wound through the trees. Time flew by as I hiked, and before I knew it, the sun was on its way down. I realized I wouldn't make it to the cemetery, if I could find it at all, before dark. So begrudgingly, I made my way back to my car, but not even 15 minutes had passed before I wandered off the path and found myself thoroughly lost. Southern accent. You want a Southern accent? Okay, here we go. I spent a lot of time in these woods. I wasn't really scared by this realization, but I also didn't want to spend the whole night out there with nothing more than a bottle of water and some power bars. I tried to stay calm and think logically, but as the minutes ticked away, my anxiety started to get the better of me. The darkness and the silence of the forest was suffocating. Every path I took seemed unfamiliar and drew me deeper into the woods. By the time it was pitch black, I admit that I was completely spooked. Every sound made me jump, and my imagination started running wild. I started to worry about running into bears or feral hogs or whatever else is out there. What if I fell and broke my ankle? Like a fool, I hadn't told anyone where I was going, so how would I be found? I was completely lost, and my phone, it had no signal. I knew that I was in some serious trouble. Then I thought I heard a vehicle in the distance, so I quickened my pace and hoping and praying that I was heading back towards my car, or any road at all. I caught a glimpse of headlights and broke into a run. That was a dumb choice, and it wasn't long before I tripped over something in the brush, or maybe a root, and I fell face first into the forest floor. I had scratches on my skin, drawn blood in a few spots, but I avoided any serious injury. I got back on my feet and continued towards what I had hoped had been a road. But I started moving a little more carefully as I did. Then, to my tremendous relief, I realized it was a road. As I broke through the trees and stepped onto it, I told myself, how lucky was I? Even though it was a cramped little two-lane thing, it felt like civilization, and I felt safe. I followed it in the direction I thought would take me back to where my car was. The tree stood tall on both sides of the road, letting only the faintest amount of moonlight penetrate through it. Although I felt safe there, I knew I wasn't out of the woods. No pun intended. I walked for maybe 20 more minutes when I heard the air move above me. It was like a gust of wind, but it seemed too isolated to be wind. The leaves near the ground weren't rustling. My hair wasn't blowing, but that sound was unmistakable. I looked up, straining my eyes to try to find the source, and then to my great confusion, I saw what I first thought was a large bird, maybe an owl. But as it flew closer, I realized it was something entirely foreign to me. The creature had wings, like a bat or a bird, but it was much larger, larger than any animal I had ever seen fly before. So big that it seemed impossible that it could remain airborne. It had glowing red eyes that shone like spotlights in the darkness. It was almost impossible to look away from them. They were so intense, it was almost hypnotizing. But I forced myself because I wanted to take in this thing entirely. Its wingspans must have been 10 feet across, and the wings looked dark and leathery, more like a bat than an owl. But its body was even weirder. Because its body was like that of a human, I could make out the outline of its torso, which I'd estimate to have been about 5 feet long. And then there were two distinctive legs that were thick and muscular, not bird like in the slightest. As I watched this creature's wing whipping up and down, and it soared back into the sky where it had flown in from at me. Eventually, I lost it in the night. I took a moment before I started back and realized that I was shaking all over. Even though I was sure that what I had seen, I couldn't quite believe it. Maybe my imagination was running away with me, or maybe I was just too exhausted from a long hike. Either way, I might have been preferable to admit it that I had seen some sort of monster out there in the woods. I broke into a quick jog, hoping to find my car or maybe stumble across someone driving. But no matter how far I ran, all that laid ahead of me was a black, empty road. I was wondering just where the heck I was and how could I have gotten so far away from my parking spot when I suddenly heard fluttering in the trees above me. I looked up and I saw the creature again. This time, it wasn't flying, though. It was perched on a high branch in a towering old oak. It was about 30 feet above me, but even at that distance, I could still see its glowing red eyes peering down on me. Just then, as suddenly as it appeared, it then flew back off into the night. I forced myself to move, even though every fiber in my being was screaming for me to stand still. I must have had full panic attack. I sprinted down that road, all the while screaming for help, screaming for someone to find me and save me. But no one was there to answer my pleas. Above me again, that fluttering came, and I realized that the creature was back. It was chasing me, its leathery wings beating against the night air as it closed in on me. I felt like I was going to pass out, but I knew that I couldn't stop running. And then, just as I thought it was all over and I was going to be this creature's next meal, I saw my car in the distance. I was almost there. I was almost safe. Then, finally, I made it to my car. I fumbled with my keys in my hand, was shaking so bad, but somehow I managed to unlock the door and jump inside. As I cranked that ignition and started to drive away, I saw the flying creature in my rearview mirror. and it was still stalking me as its wings beat against the air as it closed in on me. I pushed the gas to the floor and not caring one bit about the speed limit. Within seconds, I was speeding along at over 70 miles an hour, which must have been at least twice the safe speed to drive on this road. I was sure that I was going to crash, but I couldn't risk to stop. My heart was racing with fear and my hands were trembling on the steering wheel. I was driving in the dark like a madman, winding through the roads with nothing but the red eyes of the creature behind me. Was it hunting me? I knew that if it caught me, well, I couldn't let that happen. I tried to lose it by making sharp turns and sudden stops, but it was relentless, its wings flapping fiercely. No matter how fast I sped down this road, I couldn't escape it. I pushed my car to 85 miles an hour, but the creature was still gaining on me. I was in a full-blown panic now, and my mind was racing with thoughts of what might happen if this thing caught me. Would it kill me? Would it drag me into the woods and eat me? I did not know. I didn't want to find out either. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, I saw the lights of a town in the distance. Maybe the creature saw it too, because it slowed its pace, allowing me to gain ground on it. It was still following me, but for now, it was still in the distance, like it knew it wouldn't be safe for it to go into town. I drove through the empty nighttime streets with my eyes darting back and forth as I searched for a place with other people who could see what I was seeing, so I wouldn't have been the only one seeing it. But the town was empty. That's not unusual. It's one of those places where they roll up the sidewalks at 5 p.m., but there still had to be someone around, someone who could verify what was happening. Then I saw two teens on bicycles. I hit the brakes and the car skidded to a stop in the middle of the road. Boys looked at me to see what was going on, but my attention was focused in my rearview mirror, where I saw the creature hovering about 20 feet away. I threw open my door and screamed at the boys, "Do you see it? Do you see that thing over there?" They stared back at me like I had lost my mind, and I probably looked like I was a crazy woman, but I didn't care. "See what?" one of the boys asked. I didn't know what to call it, so instead of trying to come up with a name for it, I simply pointed behind me. Then I looked in the direction of which I was pointing. That creature was gone. I thought I had caught a momentary look at it, its wings silhouetted in the moon as it flew away, but it was too far off. Too far for those kids to see what I was rambling about. "Are you okay, lady?" one of the boys asked. I sat there for a moment, trying to catch my breath and make sense of what I had just witnessed. The only response I could muster was, "I don't know." And I still don't. The follow-up from the author Tony asks, being from West Virginia, is it safe for me to assume you've heard of the Mothman? Elena states, I have, but only in a general way. I watched the movie too, but aside from that, I didn't know much about it. Did you do any research into the Mothman and its sightings around Point Pleasant back in 1966 and 1967? Elaine says, no, not really. I mean, that was just a case of mass hysteria, right? A couple of kids saw a barn owl and got confused. The rumor spread, and then all of a sudden, everyone was seeing it. Like what happened in Salem during the Salem witch trials, because that was 50 years before I saw it. Don't you think? There certainly are similarities, Tony says. Yeah, but what I saw was real. Tony ends with, I believe you. All right, you guys. What'd you think of that one? Let's see here. Let's get you guys' thoughts on this. Thomas, thank you so much. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, Steamboat. All right, right on. Okay. That was awesome. Thank you so much. Shade Viking, what's up? Yes, girly, absolutely. It was scary. It was. All right. All right, guys. Any questions? Randy, thank you. Any questions? Thoughts, questions about that story? What do you think the Mothman is? Would you like to see it? Thrilling story? Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. The next one we're going to be doing is the Rugaroo from Louisiana. And let me find the page that's on. Page 45. Here we go. All right. Okay. The Rugaroo in Louisiana. Eyewitness is Fred Coates. He was interviewed in 2021. Area of the sighting was Lake Pontchartrain. The sighting was March of 2000. Fred says, I think the swamp gets a bad reputation. People get too worried about the gators and the snakes, plus all the bugs. So worried that they don't take a step back to appreciate the untamed beauty of this place. I never had a problem though. Yes, I do want to go look for Dogman. I won't go as far as to say I grew up in the swamps, but I spent many a summer days throughout my childhood riding boats through Louisiana's backwaters, usually with my pappy, who taught me how to respect and love the place. Unfortunately, he passed away when I was 12, and with him gone, my folks were content to stay closer to home in Georgia, with the occasional vacation to the ocean or Disney. I never complained. They're good people and great parents, but I missed the peaceful solitude of the swamps. So, years later, when I was going through my divorce, I decided there was no better place to clear my head than my old stomping grounds near Lake Pontchartrain. And what a vacation it turned out to be. Surrounded by the sounds of nature, I couldn't help but feel like I was transported back in time. It had been decades since I had last visited the place, but it was just as beautiful as I remembered it. The swamp was alive with sounds of wildlife, and the air was thick with the scent of damp earth and decaying vegetation. The humidity was oppressive, and even though it was early in the morning, I could already feel the sweat beginning to form on my skin. But I didn't mind. This swamp was where I learned to fish, and I hoped that being there would bring me back some of those happy memories and help me forget all about the pain and stress that I had been feeling since my wife left me. The first day of the trip was uneventful. I spent most of the day fishing, catching a few catfish and bass, throwing back the ladder, and generally enjoying the peace and quiet. As the sun began to set, I made my way back to my campsite, stoked up a small fire, and settled down for the night. I cooked up some catfish I'd caught, frying them in some vegetable oil. I threw in a can of potatoes and cracked open a bottle of Bud and me assume let me assure you it was a better meal than you'd get in any Michelin starred restaurant. I've never eaten in a Michelin star restaurant, so I wouldn't know. I'd finish off the food and 4 or 5 more buds before I heard the howling. It was a sound like nothing I had ever heard. Got to turn that page, you guys. A sound like I'd never heard before, a throaty bay that seemed to come from the very depths of the swamp. At first, I thought it was just a feral dog, and my imagination was turning into something more threatening. But then the sound, but then the sound came again, louder this time and closer. I'm not easily scared, but I felt a chill run down me as I realized that something was out there in the darkness, something that might be watching me, hunting me. I wish I had brought my rifle, but I hadn't wanted to be burdened down with it and in left it back at home. So all I could really do was stoke up my fire and hope that it was enough to keep whatever was out there from intruding into my camp. As the night wore on, the howls slowed in their frequency and moved further away. Eventually, they stopped altogether. When the sun finally rose, I emerged from my tent, exhausted and a little shaken. I told myself that I had just been paranoid and that there was no such thing as monsters in the swamp. But I couldn't shrug off the feeling that what I had heard wasn't natural to the environment. Despite my apprehensions, I decided to spend another day fishing. I figured that the best way to get over my fears was to face them head on and show myself that I was stronger than whatever was out there in the darkness. He's an idiot. The day was even hotter and more humid than the day before, and I spent most of it wading through the shallow waters of the swamp, casting my line and trying to catch something, anything that would take my mind off of my troubles. But no matter how many fish I caught, I just couldn't get over the feeling that I was being watched. As the sun began to set, I headed back to my camp and cooked and ate some more. I passed on the beers. I wanted a clear head. Maybe that was a mistake. The howling started again as soon as the sun dipped below the horizon, and this time it was closer, much closer than before. I sat in my tent, my heart was pounding, listening to the sound of something big moving through the swamp outside. I could hear branches snapping, leaves rustling, and I knew that whatever was out there was much larger than any animal I had ever encountered before. And then suddenly, it was right outside my tent. Breathing, snorting, and the sound of something scraping against the fabric of my tent. I knew that I should have been terrified and that I should be screaming for help, but I was dumbstruck and I was unable to move or even breathe. Not that anyone would have ever heard or had been near enough to hear me scream if I had been able to. And then the claws ripped through the tent, and I saw it for the first time. A wolf like creature stood outside. It had round, black eyes that shined brightly, hungry eyes. It looked like it stood on two legs, legs that seemed canine, with how they were bent at the knees and hips. It had a silvery brown coat of fur that I'd guessed had to be 3 or 4 inches long. The snout was elongated like a dog or a wolf, and saliva dripped from its mouth as it growled. But that took most of my attention. What took most of my attention were the teeth, long and sharp, perfect for tearing into flesh. The teeth of a carnivore, a predator. I wanted to shout. I wanted to run. I wanted to do anything to get away from this creature, but I was paralyzed with fear. The creature seemed to sense my terror, and for a moment, it just sized me up, almost as if it was considering its next move. But then it backed away. It turned, strolled towards my fire. It sat on its haunches and ate my leftover fish. Then it ate the fish I'd caught but hadn't got around to cooking. It ate them, bones and all. Once it was finished, it started off into the swamp without as much as a sniff in my direction. I spent the rest of the night in my tent, too afraid to move. All the while, I heard no more howling. I saw no more creature, but I didn't stop to sleep a wink. I remember my pappy telling me stories about creatures called Rugaroo that lived in the swamps. I guess they're similar to what a lot of people would call a werewolf. I always took it to be a Cajun folklore, but after what I saw, I wondered if they were all too real. I've also read about Dogman, and that too seems a fair match for the creature that I witnessed. I suppose I'll never know what it was, and maybe that's for the best. I was grateful to see the sun rise the next morning, and I packed up my things and left the swamp as quickly as I could. I never went back either. It was spoiled for me now. Even now, as I sit here and tell the story, I can feel the hairs on the back of my neck standing up, as if that creature was standing outside the window, waiting to get me. The author asks him, approximately how large would you estimate this creature? Fred says, I'm thinking at least 6 feet tall. It had a broad chest, but it tapered at the waist. The legs were muscular, but not extremely large. I guess it weighed in the neighborhood of 150 to 200 pounds. And when it was eating your fish, you said it sat on its haunches. Did it eat the fish right out of the pan with its mouth, the way a dog or a wolf might eat out of a bowl? Or did it use its hands or paws in any way? I really can't say for certain as its back was to me, but I think it just ate like a dog. I didn't see its arms or front legs, whatever you want to call them. I didn't see them move much. Interesting. When it tore through your tent, could you see a paw or hand? If so, was it humanoid with fingers or more compact like a dog's paw? Tony, I was so damn scared that all I noticed were its claws. They were black and sharp. I didn't get past them. I understand. Thank you. And you guys, that is the Rugaroo. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think it's a dogman? Do you think it's something else? Do you think it's a werewolf? What are your thoughts? Absolutely. Thomas, 100%. I think I'd have been the exact same way. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Ashes, it is spooky. Look at Ray Sting talking. Man, come on, buddy. You know as well as I do. I talk that way too. I'd make it a fur coat. Nope. No, thank you. Taking your fish. I would have left after the first day. Randy, you think the Rugaroo is a Bigfoot? Well, the gentleman Fred said it looked like a wolf man, like a werewolf or dog man. So, and there's other reports that I've seen about when people said they have seen the Rugaroo or encountered it, that it looked like a werewolf, like a wolf man. So, what do you guys think? Do you think it's like a Cajun folklore? What are your thoughts? Yeah, Cajun folklore, Randy. Yeah, I do too. I see. I don't know. There's certain things like I've heard them looking like huge wolves. Yeah, me too. Um, when I said that I'd like to go out and probably look for a dog man, the circumstances have to be like pristine and perfect for me to want to look for a dog man. Like I want to have a spotter scope so I can see it from a long ways away. Um, Swamp Dog Man. Yeah. or if you're in South Park, Man Bear Pig. So, but for a Sasquatch, I would love to see another one. Dogman, I'd have to be at a distance. The Kushtaka, I don't know. I mean, that scares me so bad. Well, French were in US. We're very early, so they probably seen a lot of named monsters. Yeah, probably shade. Yeah, probably. Danny, what's up, brother? Just got home from Bigfoot Festival, dude. How was that festival? Were you up there with Harley? So, would it take you to some spots down here? Well, I would. I'm hoping to do some scuzzle, but yeah, that's funny. The Otterman, no, I want nothing to do with it. Yeah, the Otterman can be pretty scary. I mean, when I first heard about it, let's see. So if I got to go down there, they've started casting surplus. Exactly. No, you're in PA. Okay, cool. Long way is it doesn't matter. Yeah, you guys, honestly, like when my dad. So I don't know how many people in here have heard the story of my dad, with his encounter. Now, my dad passed away in 2014, and my dad, to the day that he passed away, sincerely believed with everything about him that he saw a werewolf. He's a firm believer. When the movie The Shining came out, my dad was absolutely not. He didn't want nothing to do with it. So when I want to say it was right before he went either to basic training or to Vietnam, one of the two times, he's living up in Ketchikan, Alaska, and he wanted to get one more hunt in. And for some reason, I thought my dad said elk, and it wasn't elk. It was mule deer that he was hunting. And he was driving down this old logging road, and he saw a herd of muleys come. Oh, excuse me, guys. Come down this hill, across this road, and then down this other hill, down in this ravine, and then up on this other like other hill or mountain or whatever ridge, this other ridge across the way. And when the last one went down across the road, down the ravine, he took off, set up right where they went down, and he starts glassing the area. And he's looking left to right, left to right. And as he's scanning back to the right, something catches his eye coming in from the left. It's coming in from the left. And so he kind of moves his binoculars back over. And he says he saw the biggest, darkest wolf he had ever seen in his life. It was like pitch black. And he said it was running across this ridge, like the side of this ridge, and it stopped and stood up. And he said it started sniffing the air. And when it sniffed the air, it was looking around. And he said all of a sudden it snapped its head and looked right at my dad. Like he knew my dad was right there. And it showed its teeth. It dropped down to all fours and started running down to the bottom of this ravine to come up where my dad was. Well, my dad lost sight of it, so he picked up his rifle and started scoping, because the last thing he wanted to do was take time to grab his rifle. He wanted it ready just in case he saw it again. Well, he did. He saw it again. He saw it was at the bottom of the ravine, and it was starting to come up the hill that he was at the top of. And he said he took it off safe, was getting ready to put his finger on the trigger, and one of the mule deers made a noise. It bugled or grunted or snorted or whatever. And it took off, or it stopped, looked at my dad, then took off towards where the mule deer had just went up over the crest of this ridge. And it got about halfway up, and it stopped, stood up, put its hand again on one of these trees, looked at my dad, showed his teeth again, and then took off running on 2 feet up over the ridge towards where the mules just went, or the muleys went over. My dad grabbed his stuff, ran back to his vehicle, and took off. And to the day that he passed away, he was 64 years old when he passed away. He believed wholeheartedly that he had witnessed a werewolf. So, Dano, you should read Martin Grove's book, The Devil's Backbone. There's a story about a family of werewolves that lived in the LBL. The lady who told it had a horrific incident with her grandfather. Okay, The Devil's Backbone. Martin Groves. Okay, I'll do it. I'll check that one out. And then Shade, you put down, I like hearing really old stories like Siege of Lockett Ranch. That is probably the most epic Dogman story that's ever been told. Okay, so Siege. Lockett Ranch. Okay, I'll look that up too. That could probably be something I talk about on my next live. All right. So full encounter story would be a good one to read from, let's see, from during a live. I'm reading it now about halfway through. Okay, perfect. I will. All right, you guys, you ready for the alien encounter in Washington State? Now, that's my home state. I haven't heard this one, but I know where this location is. So Jen Davis is our witness. The interview was taken in 2023. The sighting was 2016, and the location was the Olympic National Park, Port Angeles, Washington. Okay, let's go. Jen says, Josh and I had been planning our honeymoon for almost a year. We'd both been married before, and so we didn't see any need for a big, showy wedding. We just went to the courthouse where the justice of the peace made it official. We wanted to put all of our money into a honeymoon and the memories we would make. We're both outdoorsy type people. Josh is big into hunting and fishing, while I don't do either. I love camping, hiking, and kayaking. As such, we decided to spend our honeymoon in nature, and we chose the Pacific Northwest Olympic National Park, to be specific. Being there, surrounded by the mountains and the forest, far away from the noise and the chaos of the city, was better than I ever could have imagined. It was just the two of us, and it felt like we were the only people in the universe. The first night of camping was perfect. Josh and I cuddled together under the stars, talking about our future together, enjoying each other's company. I felt so happy and content, like I was exactly where I was supposed to be. But then, as we were gazing up at the stars, I noticed something moving across the sky. At first, I thought it was a satellite, but it moved too erratically. I pointed it out to Josh, and he squinted up at the sky. What is that? He asked, sounding confused. I don't know, I replied, feeling a little unnerved. It doesn't look like a plane, does it? As we watched the object seem to get closer and closer, it was a bright light pulsing and flashing in rhythmic patterns. I felt my pulse quicken as I watched it, feeling more and more uneasy the closer it came. After a few minutes, the object suddenly shot off into the distance, disappearing altogether. Josh and I looked at each other, both feeling a little spooked. Maybe that was just a drone or something, Josh said, trying to reassure me. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. We climbed into our tent, but I had trouble sleeping that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the strange pulsing light. The next few nights were even weirder. We saw the same object in the sky, flashing in predictable patterns. We'd hike miles every day, but it seemed to be following us. And as weird as it sounds, I couldn't shake the feeling that it was also watching us. One night, around 2 a.m., I heard a scrambling noise outside our tent. It sounded like something was shuffling around in the dirt, and I felt my heart jump into my throat. Josh, I whispered, shaking him awake. There, there's something outside. He rubbed his eyes sleepy. He rubbed his eyes sleepily, but then his expression changed as he heard the noise as well. Stay here, he whispered, grabbing a flashlight and unzipping the tent. I watched anxiously as he stepped outside, shining the flashlight around. At first, I couldn't see anything, but then the, the light lit up something, and that made my heart almost stop. The beam of Josh's flashlight illuminated a figure. It stood a few feet away from our tent, just watching us. It was humanoid, but not quite human. Its skin was dark brown in color and seemed to have a greasy appearance. Its eyes were huge and red. It seemed to be staring right at us. Josh! I screamed, and the figure suddenly turned and ran away. I rushed out of the tent and to Josh's side. We could hear the footsteps crunching on the ground as it fled. And when we walked into the direction, we found the ground covered in a sticky, gelatinous residue, like the creature had left some sort of slime trail behind it. You guys, please keep comments G-rated. That's all I'm going to say. It felt like we were living in some sort of science fiction movie. We didn't know what to do or who should we tell. We were in the middle of nowhere, and we had just seen something that we could not explain. We cut our trip short, packed up our campsite, eager to get out of there and back into the safety of civilization. When we reached the nearest town, we stopped at a gas station to fill up. I so desperately wanted to tell somebody what we had experienced, but who would believe us? For the next few days, we tried to put the experience behind us. We visited tourist attractions, ate good food, tried to act like everything was normal, but the memory of the creature kept creeping up on me, taunting me in my dreams and making me jump at every strange noise. We ended up going home 2 days early, but the week after, I was on edge. Only the passing of time allowed me to get some perspective on the situation and accept that there are things out there I never believed in and can't explain. So the author asks, you mentioned the slime the alien left behind. Did you touch it? Did you smell it? If so, what was it like? You guys, what do you think? What do you think her answer was? What do you think her answer was? Okay, I'll tell you. Her answer was yes to both. It felt oily and sticky, and the consistency reminded me as gross as this sounds, snot. It had a vaguely metallic odor like lake water. It wasn't offensive. It was pretty mild. You guys, she touched it and smelled it. Gross. The author then asks, have you ever seen strange lights in the sky since then? Lights that look like what you saw in the park? No, not once, and thank God. All right, you guys, that was that. Let's see, I'll throw some more out here. Let me know what you guys would like to hear. Let's see here. Okay, we've got we've got Bigfoot in Minnesota. We've got Bigfoot in Ohio. And you guys, this scares me more than Sasquatch, Dogman. I'm going to read this one first. I'll do Ohio second, and I'll do Minnesota third. Okay? So, the first one we're going to do here. Okay, you guys ready for this one? Feral people in Virginia. The eyewitness is J.D. Morrison. Interview happened in 2020 in Luray, Virginia, approximately. And this happened in 2018. JD says, "All right, buckle up because this is one wild ride. It all started the summer after my senior year in high school. I was 17 years old and I was already fed up with the whole education thing. So I decided to work with my uncle's landscaping company, instead of going to college. It wasn't the most glamorous job, but it paid the bills. This kid's 17 years old. What bills does he have? And I didn't have to sit in a classroom all day. My girlfriend, Kaylee, my best friend, Matt, and his girlfriend, Joelle, had all decided to go on a river floating trip with me. We planned to float down the Shenandoah during the day and camp out at night. As we loaded up Matt's Forerunner, we hit the road. We were all pretty excited. A couple hours later, we ended up at the scheduled area in the woods where we could get away from it all. The first day and night were a lot of fun. We were all joking around and drinking beer. We were having the time of our lives, our last blast before adulthood. But I couldn't help feeling a little sad knowing that this was all going to end soon, and I'd have to grow up, which I was not ready for. The second day started out a little like the other. We were all floating down the river, having a good time until Jolene screamed. She said she saw someone watching us from the woods. Oh, hold on a second, you guys. Sorry. It's a new book, so these pages are a little. Okay. So, let's see. We all looked, but we didn't see anything. When we asked her what the person looked like, she said it was creepy and it was a hairy guy. I told her it was probably a dude from the movie Deliverance. Why do people got a joke like that? And I told her to listen for banjos. We all laughed it off and thought nothing of it. That night, Kaylee and I were in our tent making out when she heard someone walking around the tent. I called out thinking it was Matt or Joelle. Maybe they were trying to sneak up and take a peek, but no one answered. I went outside and looked, but I didn't see anyone. I told her it was probably a raccoon that smelled the food, but she said it sounded a lot bigger than a raccoon. The next morning, we saw several sets of bare human footprints all around the tents. We were all a little creeped out, but we tried to brush it off as other kids messing around. None of us wanted our trip to be ruined or cut short. The day's float was less jovial. Everyone was a little nervous, but I tried to compensate by getting drunk. It didn't work. Instead, it was barfing in the river before noon. That night we were all hanging out by the campfire when I saw a person watching us from the woods. He was pretty much just as Joel had described, dirty and hairy. He looked like he hadn't bathed in his entire life, and his hair was all matted, like a dog gets when it's been living in the wild for years. You could tell just by looking at him that he probably had lice and who knows what else was crawling around on him. So gross. I chased after him, but I quickly lost track of him in the thick forest. I knew this must be the same guy Joel had seen the day before. Probably the same person who'd been outside of our tent. He had been following us the whole way, and I was now pissed. I shouted, "Stay the hell away from us, you freak!" And then added, "I've got a gun." I didn't, of course, but it sounded good. I figured I'd scared him off and he wouldn't bother us again, so I hurried back to the campsite to tell the others. But when I got there, they were all hiding together in one of the tents. They told me that they saw 4 more people watching them from the woods. My friend said the people they saw all looked like wild people, like feral humans that had been living in the woods all of their lives. These wild people didn't do anything but stare. Then Matt yelled at them to get lost and they ran off. They said these people were wearing poorly fitting, ratty, and torn clothes that looked like they had been hauled out of the trash, and no shoes. We all decided it was best to share one tent that night. None of us knew what to do. I didn't want to admit it, but I was absolutely terrified. We had no way of defending ourselves, not even a camping shovel. I never felt so helpless. The next morning, we woke up to find the empty tent had been ripped to pieces, all of our food was gone, and our rafts were shredded. We were stranded. We had to walk the rest of the way out of the forest and back to the Forerunner. The forest that had looked so beautiful and peaceful days before now felt dangerous. Every noise, even birds chirping, made me want to crap my pants. All all while we walked, we could hear the feral people following us. We could smell their stink. It was nauseating, like a mixture of rotten meat and BO. Everyone in Every once in a while, we would hear a branch break or a low growl, and we would all freeze. We'd see sets of eyes watching us from the lush green foliage, stalking us. We were too scared to talk, too scared to even whisper. Finally, we saw a clearing up ahead, the place where we had parked our car. We'd made it. Joel broke into a run, and the rest of us followed. But as we got but as we took off, the feral people left behind the cover of the woods and started to chase us as well. I threw a glance over my shoulder and saw 8 of them running after us. Their hair wild and wavy or their excuse me, their wild hair and rags flapping in the wind. They held sticks sharpened to a point like spears. They looked so ferocious, so angry. We got in the car. We got to the car. We jumped inside, slammed the door shut. We locked. We locked out. We looked out the windows and saw the wild people standing there, watching us with their beady black eyes. It was like they knew they couldn't get to us, not in the car. But I could see the hatred in their eyes as they retreated into the forest. Soon we lost sight of them. We never saw them again as we drove away. But I totally believe that if we had stayed any longer, that they would have killed us. Follow up. The author asks, you mentioned seeing 8 of these feral people. Could you get a read on their ages? The witness says it was all over the place. Some were younger, probably younger than me, uh, maybe early teens, and the oldest looked to be around 50 or so. It was a man with lots of gray hair, both on his head and his beard. He's the one that I chased into the woods that one night, and the rest were wherever in between. Did they look similar, like they were from the same family unit? Maybe. I mean, on the surface, it was all the same. Dirty, stinky, long hair. I really didn't notice anything much beyond that. Aside from being unkempt, did they have any identifying characteristics? Any, we'll say for the lack of a better word, deformities? They weren't they weren't all gross and matted like that movie Wrong Turn bad guys, if that's what you're saying. That's what I was meaning. Then no, they looked like normal enough people, not inbred. And I'm telling you guys, that is no, no, and no, and no. All right, I'm going to read these last 2, and then I think I'm going to call it a night. I just want to say thanks for sticking with me, you guys. I appreciate it. We're going to read Bigfoot in Ohio. Oh, this is weird. It's 10 p.m. in Minnesota. Yes, it is. All right. The eyewitness of this is, let's see, how did they not hear tents being ripped apart, but could hear branches crack? I wonder the same thing about Bigfoot. That's a really good question. I'm not really sure. I agree. Well, I mean, if you have 4 people sleeping in a tent and these feral people sometime in the night shredded the other tent, how did you not wake up from that? So, yeah. That's definitely got me thinking. So for the Bigfoot in Ohio, this is eyewitness name is Dan. His interview was in 2018. The area of the sighting is Salt Fork State Park, Lore City, Ohio. And then and Mount Hood, Parkdale, Oregon. The sighting happened in June of 2002, and then the latter in August of 2014. That's the one you told me about, Sabrina? Like, that's the state park? All right, here we go. So Dan said it's another park ranger, you guys. Dan said I'd been a park ranger for about 8 years. I worked in the Salt Fork State Park in southern Ohio. It was a great place that I knew. It was a place that I knew like the back of my hand, and I had seen plenty of wildlife during my time there. I was out on patrol in one of our more remote areas in the park. I had just finished checking on some of the campsites and was heading back to my vehicle when I saw something moving in the bushes ahead of me. At first, I thought it might have been a black bear rummaging through some trash left behind campers. But as I got closer, I realized that even though it was covered in coarse black fur, it was not a bear I was looking at. It was a Bigfoot. It stood on 2 legs, and it was huge, easily 7 to 8 feet tall. Its arms hung down pretty near its knees. Those arms were thick too. They looked like they could crush a car. Its chest was big and round like a whiskey barrel, but much bigger. I froze in terror as its piercing eyes fixed on me. For a moment, neither of us moved. Then it snorted and took a step in my direction. I don't mind telling you, but I was scared out of my mind. I wanted to run, but my legs felt like they were rooted into the spot I was standing. I watched as it started to lumber towards me, one slow step at a time. A Bigfoot, an honest to God Bigfoot. I never thought I'd see one, but there it was. I was looking straight at it, and it was coming for me. I could feel the vibrations its steps made through my own feet as it walked. And then, out of nowhere, it charged at me. I guess my survival instincts trumped my fear because I was able to move again, and I did. I turned and ran as fast as I could, and I could hear it crashing through the underbrush behind me. I knew it was gaining on me. I stumbled and fell, sprained my knee badly, and I was sure I was done for. The smell of this rank animal's odor as it closed in on me made me think of a trash can on a hot summer day. The kind you'd find full of rotten food and maggots, but that trash can was also sprayed by a skunk. It was the worst thing I'd ever smelled. Made me want to retch. Probably would have if I hadn't been so scared. Then, just as it was about to reach me, a group of hikers came along. There were 6 of them, and I guess that was more than the next page than the Bigfoot wanted to take on at once. The creature backed away, then pushed into a big hedge of mountain laurels and quickly blended into the woods. The hikers never so much as caught a glimpse of it, and I was too shaken to say anything. They helped me limp back to my vehicle, and I drove straight to the ranger station to report what had happened. Now, you might think that that's the end of the story, but let me tell you, it's just the beginning. I spent years trying to find it again, and I never went anywhere without a camera. I started doing my own investigations. I went back to the spot where I had seen the Bigfoot, looked for any clues that might help me track it down or find its den. I had become obsessed. A few times I found footprints that were too large to be human and too distinct to be any known mammal. They were unlike anything I had ever seen, and I was sure they must be from the Bigfoot. I got pretty deep into the Bigfoot scene and would go to all these conferences and seminars, sometimes traveling hundreds of miles. I didn't tell my story often, but I did on occasion. Being able to talk to people who experienced the same thing was comforting and reassuring. At one gathering in western Pennsylvania, I talked to a researcher who claimed to have evidence of a Bigfoot. He said that he had found some hair samples out on Mount Hood that he believed belonged to the creature. He invited me to come to his place, see them, and then go on an expedition with him. I was skeptical, of course. I had heard about so many hoaxes and false leads over the years that I didn't want to get my hopes up. But something about him made me think that he was believable and might be onto something. So one summer, I packed my bags and headed out west. When I arrived, he took me to a remote cabin in the woods where he had set up a makeshift headquarters. He showed me the hair samples, and and they definitely were unlike anything I had ever seen on a bear, a deer, etc. And they stank, just like the dumpster smell I got from the Bigfoot in Ohio. We went on some hikes to where he had found the hairs and seen tracks. We didn't see anything, but it still was an enjoyable day. Then in the middle of the night, we heard something move outside. At first, we thought it might be a bear or a cougar, but as the sounds got closer, we realized we weren't wrong. Just outside the cabin, heavy footprints smashed through the dense foliage. We both went to various windows trying to see the creature, but couldn't make it out in the darkness. Then a low growl sound rumbled through the cabin walls. It was unmistakable. It was the same sound that I had heard all those years ago in Salt Fork. I grabbed my camera and was halfway out the door, not even considering the danger I was putting myself in, but just as suddenly as it had appeared, it was gone. All that was left was its wake where footprint. All that was left in its wake were footprints. We cast a few of them, and to this day, I have one in my office. I still have yet to see another Bigfoot, but every time I'm in the woods, I'm on the lookout. Follow up. Can you share the researcher's contact information and name? I would, but he passed away a couple of years ago. His widow had some bad experiences afterwards. People who are into Bigfoot research can get a little, let's just say, intense. Last time I talked to her, she said she threw everything out and didn't want to be bothered by it anymore. I'm so tired of all these crazies. I don't feel comfortable giving out his name. I completely understand. Back to your experience, why do you think the Sasquatch chased after you? Were you carrying a weapon? I carry a sidearm for my job. I never drew it or threatened it, though. As for why it went after me, I think that's a pretty easy question to answer. I interrupted its dinner. You don't want to mess around with any animal when it's eating. Why would a Sasquatch be very different? And there's that one. All right, guys, the last one we're going to talk about the Bigfoot in Minnesota. Let's see here. Are you guys having a good time? Let's see who's leaving. I think Jason might be going to bed. I've yet to cast a print, but it's on my bucket list. You know, that's the same thing with me. That's on one of my bucket lists. So that is definitely one of my bucket lists is to cast a print. I can't wait to get the chance to do it. All right. Okay, here we go. I understand that I understand the woods go quiet with predators, but why do most popular soundtracks we hear we can hear the woods? You know, I've wondered that myself, honestly. Like if you listen to these soundtracks, I don't understand why they would add, you know, noises from the woods. You know, I really, really don't because I can remember the woods going quiet during the encounter when I was with my little brother in 92. And I know that cracked a cold one and just chilling. Thank you. Awesome. I'm glad you guys are having a good time. Awesome. But anybody else have any thought on that? You know, why does Hollywood feel that they're doing us a favor by adding these sounds when either they're making something up, they got to give it what? Yeah, I get that too. They got to make it sound creepy, you know. But I just think it's people who are making movies that, yeah, they have to make it dramatic. But here's the thing: anybody who's okay for you, Sabrina, because I know you're an investigator. You know, I know Steamboat's an investigator. Ugh. You know, you guys have been out there, and when these things show up, it normally gets quiet. Now, I'm not saying you're not going to hear maybe insects. You might hear the insects, but you're not going to hear any normally nocturnal animals moving around in the underbrush because these things could potentially be a meal, you know? So I don't understand why they would do it as well. I'm just a normal human that has too much curiosity. I think a lot of us that enjoy this type of uh, subject matter, we're just a little too curious about it. A couple years ago, I was up in Bailey's on a hike, and a huge tree snap came out of nowhere. I froze. You know, that's just like when I was up in the deer stand when I was like 6, 7. Um, when something untied my boot, and then I heard this gigantic noise, like a snap or like a rock clack or something that pulled my attention. And yeah, it was so loud. You can't do anything but freeze, you know? Yeah, it does go quiet, and it's a really eerie moment. I don't know why they have to add it because it's creepy enough. Exactly. I think less is more in those things. If you think about it, less is more. I mean, if you're so used to hearing frogs or whatever you're hearing, in the woods at night, and then all of a sudden it just goes dead silent. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, your guys' sentence go crazy. Top predator in the air, absolutely. Prey will lay low. When you have an apex predator walk into the area, everything shuts up and doesn't move because they do not want to get. It was so loud. Yeah, I bet you it was, Francis. I bet you it was, man. Your ears almost feel like they need a. Yep, exactly. That's exactly how it sounds. Almost feels like your ears need to pop when it goes that quiet. Yeah, that's crazy. Definitely go by your gut. All right, this one, guy, is Bigfoot in Minnesota. I know where this place is too. This eyewitness wished to remain anonymous. The date of the interview was 2019. Longview, Minnesota, and it took place in the fall of 2009. So the witness says, you see a lot of weird stuff when you're okay. You want to know why this guy is anonymous? This guy is a police officer. You see a lot of weird stuff when you're a cop. People high on drugs, thinking they can fly or run through walls. Naked folks in places where someone should most certainly not be naked. Once I saw an adult male trying to steal a bronze statue that must have weighed a literal ton with his bare hands. Like I said, lots of weird stuff, but I never expected that list to include Bigfoot. Being a cop in rural Minnesota isn't quite as high octane thrill ride that you would see in Chicago or New York. Most of my days passed by with little more than a few traffic stops and maybe a response to a domestic on an exceptionally busy day. This shift was no different at first. I was on my dinner break, chomping down a burger and some fries out by the lake. I like going out there and watching the birds while I eat. A few years before, we had gotten a pair of osprey in the area, and I'd oftentimes see them diving into the water to snatch up fish. It was a sight it sure was a sight, I'll tell you. This took place in the fall, just after the time change had taken. So daylight saving times had changed. Um, so the days were on the shorter side. Even though it was only 5 p.m., dusk had suddenly set in. That's why when I saw that's okay, that's why. When I saw the large dark shape emerge from the tree line, I wasn't immediately sure what it was. Um, what I could see was it was large. I mean, really big. I'm pretty good at judging height, even from this distance. It goes with the job. And I can tell you beyond the shadow of a doubt that the shape I watched move out of the woods was between 7 feet 6 inches tall, and 7 feet 10 inches in height. That's a big boy. Got me yawning. I'm sorry, man. Let's see here. It walked upright on 2 legs and was covered in brown fur that was just slightly longer in color, slightly darker in color than milk chocolate. My brain instantly jumped to the assumption that I was looking at a bear. I'd seen them walk on their hind legs before, once in my own backyard when I was eating the black oiled sunflower seeds out of my bird feeder. A bear walking upright had an uncanny effect that's hard to rationalize. And I'd bet good money that a lot of so-called Bigfoot sightings are actually bears. But as it walked, I realized it was no bear. The movement was all wrong. First off, bears look awkward and lumbering when they're on their 2 hind legs. You can tell it's unnatural for them, and it takes effort. This creature I saw walked fluidly and easily, and I could tell it was walking on 2 legs, that this was natural for it. The second inconsistency with the proportions, a bear has a long torso in comparison to its legs, and that's very evident when it walks upright. The creature I saw had 2 long legs and 2 long arms. The arms, in particular, hung a few inches past its knees. They swung when it walked, just like a person's. The other primary difference was the shape of the head. A bear's face is nearly rounded, just slightly wider than taller. You can also see a bear's ears sticking up. Now, the creature I saw had an elongated skull, more like a human, but the top of its head was slightly um, conical, and there were no visible ears. As I watched it move to the edge of the lake and crouch down, it dipped its hands into the water, cupping them together, then pulling out a mouthful of water, which it then drank. It did this 5 or 6 times as I watched. Even though the light was dim, I could see its hands were massive, and they looked hairless, or at least almost hairless. They certainly weren't covered with the same dense brownish fur that coated the rest of its body. Then, after quenching its thirst, the creature stood up, turned away from me, and walked back into the cover of the forest. I followed it with my eyes for as long as I could, but I soon lost it in the trees. I thought about radioing it in and reporting what I had seen, but decided that would be unwise. Nevertheless, my judgment was perfect because rather than waiting in safety of my cruiser, I left the vehicle and followed it. How come no one has ever seen Dogman with? Okay, someone handle that. A sewer pipe. Come on, brother. We don't need stupid questions like that. That's legitimately a stupid question. Let's see here. He left the safety of his vehicle and followed it. In my haste, I left my flashlight behind, so when I got to the woods, it was hard for me to see more than a few feet beyond my nose. Still, the broken branches and footprints the creature had left behind made it an easy trail to follow. I walked a good 100 yards into the forest without seeing so much as a glimpse of the Bigfoot. I knew I was behaving recklessly and was ready to turn back when I heard a loud thud. It sounded like a baseball bat hitting a home run. Later, after I started watching TV shows about Sasquatch, I learned about wood knocks and now realize that's what I must have heard. I turned in several directions from which the sound had come, straining my eyes against the darkness to try to find the creature. That's when I heard a long, almost mournful sound. It was unlike any noise I had heard in the woods before. It almost sounded like a vocalization of sorts. Not a word, but a sound. That could have been a word in some primitive language, though. The sound lasted for a good 15, maybe 20 seconds, then died off. I never felt threatened or in danger. I don't say that to brag, I'm just stating facts. I'm quite certain the creature of that size could have ended me if it wanted to, but it never showed any aggression towards me. I went back to the spot every day for more than a year, hoping to see it again, but never did. I still return from time to time. Maybe one of these days I'll get lucky. So Tony asked him, did the Sasquatch seem to notice or acknowledge you when it was drinking from the lake? And Anonymous states, no, I'm not saying it was unaware of my presence, but it didn't look in my direction or give any indication that it was concerned about my presence. The author then asks, when you followed its trail, did you notice any smell or odor? Maybe the typical skunky Sasquatch smell most eyewitnesses reported? I did not, but I'm a smoker and don't have much of a sense of smell. Look at DA Robert is in. DA, what's up, buddy? I see you. Awesome. Now that he's on, you guys, I'm gonna stay on a little bit longer. You guys want me to stay on longer? How about we go through some sounds? You guys want to hear some audio? Anybody want to hear some audio? Give me a 1 in the chat. Stay on. Okay, I'll stay on. Kristen, are you going to give me a? Are you going to shoot me an email? Because I definitely want to ask you something. Thanks, DA, for coming on, man. I appreciate it. Okay, we got a bunch of ones popping. Okay, so you guys, being in this position that I'm in, being a host of the show, I am very, very lucky and very, very honored that people send me things. People send me pictures, videos, and audio. I want to share some of those with you guys tonight. So we're going to go through some audio. Now, I know a lot of you guys have probably already heard this audio. But for the new people that are coming in or are now just catching alive, Miss Williams, how are you? You're okay. I'm still here. I'm going to be playing some audio. Hopefully, some of you guys, if you've heard it before, I hope you enjoy it. If you haven't heard it before, again, I hope you enjoy it. So, the audio that we're going to go through, if Daryl Adams is in the chat, I'm going to play some of his audio. I've got some other audio that I'm going to be playing for Mr. Ron Moorhead and Jimmy Williams. Sabrina has given me some as well. So I'm going to be playing some of these. And here we go. Are you ready? All right. Here we go. Wyatt, we need to go to Combs Ferry again. Man, I would love to go to Combs Ferry with you guys. All right, you guys. So here we go. Let me see what we're hearing to count. Okay. All right, here we go with some of these audio. This is from Daryl Adams in Owl Moon Lab. Yeah. What did you guys think of that one? I'm watching Bigfoot Michigan, Uncle Rob's channel, Dano. Are you? I'm gonna have Rob on. I'm gonna have Rob on. So it happened. Yeah, I'm now over 4 or 5 tires. Yeah, DA, that was Daryl Adams sent that to me, and that's from when he was that was where was that recorded? That was recorded at Owl Moon Labs. That's in Oregon. This is Daryl Roberts' audio. The next two are also, our next three is going to be Daryl's as well. All right, so if you guys have ever heard that audio before, and if you've seen this show, I'm pretty sure you have. Have you seen the show Expedition Bigfoot? Because if you've seen that show, then you've heard that audio. I'll play it one more time for you. So, at the beginning of every episode of Expedition Bigfoot, you hear that howl. That is, you've not watched Expedition Bigfoot. That howl, that's what yep, that exactly. It is. It is. It's that, but it's also when they play the very beginning of the episode, you hear that Sasquatch howl. That's the howl. And I heard it the other day or a couple weeks ago, and I immediately messaged Daryl. I'm like, Daryl, I'm watching Expedition Bigfoot. Is that your howl that you captured? Is that it? He's like, yep, every episode. That's what it is. And then he has another one. It's more like a grunt. Can you imagine hearing that in the dark in the woods? Lisa, I'm gonna tell you right now. By the way, welcome to the channel. I'm gonna tell you, Daryl has given an open invitation for me to come out there with him. Look at Wade. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that, buddy. You didn't have to do that, but thank you so much. Daryl has given me an invitation to come out there and camp, and I definitely I want to camp in the area where all this stuff is going on, like legit. One night, 2 nights, probably not more than 2 nights. I'm a bigger guy. I'm older. My hips, my knees, they are not that of a 20-year-old anymore. So, me sleeping on the hard ground, even with pads and blow up mattresses and things like that. No, uh, I have a super, super, super. My boy Jason B. Miller is in the house, man. What's up, brother? How are you, man? Just let you know, I got it right here next to me. Wow, Krista, thank you so much. Come on now. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. But yeah, I want to. Hey, Jason, I'm gonna go and get myself another vest, and this is the first patch I'm gonna put on that on my new vest, right there, buddy. So again, thank you for that. I know I thanked you before, but I never showed it. So there you go, and that's gonna be my first patch on my new vest. But yeah, you guys. So I'm gonna play another of Daryl Adams, um, of his audio. This is pretty crazy. It's a short one, but to me, it's very powerful. That's the best way I can describe it. What do you think of that? Very powerful. Very, very powerful. So, and you guys, if you don't know, Squatch Medic, my bro here, he's in Eastern Washington. This guy is very, very, very into being out there, being prepared, taking a unique look at things, an unconventional way of finding proof and evidence, sightings, audio of these creatures. And, you know, Sleep 6, Daniel. What does? Oh, dude, I definitely will. I definitely will. I'll send you a picture. If you have not checked out my channel, look for it on YouTube, and I'll tell you what episode Jason's is. So I had Jason on. He has one of the most incredible encounters that I have ever heard, ever. And when he told me, it's not easy for me to get so captivated and on the edge of my seat, but with Jason, I did, because I just wanted to hear more and more and more and more. And yeah, his was something else. His episode is called. Okay, did I go too far? Here we go. Okay, here we go. His episode is called Bigfoot and Berries, a family outing we'll never forget. It was episode 38 and it posted March 12th. Check out his story, you guys. It's crazy. There's more to that story, and when Jason feels comfortable enough, I'd like to have him come back on and give me the rest of that story. But it was absolutely, absolutely crazy. So, you guys, let's play some more. Let's play some more audio. But before I do, if you guys know anyone or you yourself has had an encounter you'd like to come on the show, please send me an email at the Cryptid Podcast 72 at gmail.com. Again, the Cryptid Podcast 72 at gmail.com. And you guys, 3 more days. The 10th, my giveaway ends. If you are not already and you'd like to become a member of the show, click join. And you can't do it on your phone. You have to do it on like a desktop or laptop or maybe a tablet. I don't know. But you will be put into a drawing for this hat. And yes, you can go to a big retail store and get this. It's when I found them, I bought every single one of them that I saw. They had like 5 of them, and I bought all 5 of them. But it's $2.99 a month. It's called the Cryptid Crew, and if you like to have your name put in for a drawing, I'll be doing that drawing after the 10th. The last day that you can get in is 11:59 p.m. on June 10th. Okay, and then I will start putting people's names down, assigning them a number, and then I'll do a randomizer, and then pick the winner, and we'll announce that. Also, if you guys haven't already, head on over to my buddy Josh's show, the Mysteries Unknown podcast, where he releases content on Mondays. He started a new series called Ray. Look at you, man. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Oh, what's it going? Okay, so he started a new series. He's probably going to be doing once a month, where he goes over a mystery, whether it's a 411 mystery. He's I don't know if you guys have heard this. There's a thing called Mel's Hole, MEL''S HOLE. And this is crazy because this hole is over 85,000 feet deep. And you got to listen to that story. So Josh will probably be coming out with that story as well. So you want to check that out. I sent you audio, no vocals, but knocks, rocks. I'll definitely check it out. Yep, Mel's Hole is very interesting. So, oh yeah, Lisa, I'm telling you, it's crazy. It is bananas. Cool. I'll share those again. Girly, I'll share those. But again, I want to say thank you so much for the support you guys show the channel. I've been doing this for about 7 months now, and I didn't think it'd be going where it's going. I have a goal right now. I just looked, and I still can't believe that, I am currently sitting at 2,872 subscribers. I'd have been happy with 500. But yeah, my goal for the end of June is 3,000. So at the end of June, I'd like to be at 3,000. By the end of summer, I'd like to be at 5,000. And then before the end of the year, 7,500. So, Kristen, don't forget the email. Have a good night. Thank you so much for coming in. I truly appreciate you guys. All right, back to the audio, you guys. This audio was sent to me by our one and only Sabrina. This is pretty cool. Let's play this one here. All right. So that was sent to me by Sabrina, and she calls it's the singing, it's a female singing. Just the tones of it, and I wish I could have been there at night to hear that as well. I think that's pretty amazing. Yeah, it is great audio. I really like the audio. And then she sent, you're gonna have to listen, so turn your volume up on this one. She sent me this one as well. So turn up your volume, listen very carefully. Okay, that distracted me. That was one of the singing ones. Yeah, so that is cool. When she sent me the singing one, it was really cool. And the one I just played, no, it's not sniffing. What it is now, where they were at, I'll paint the picture because she's told me a few times. They were out doing an investigation. Okay. And they were sitting. The way they sit is how they have their vehicle sit. They kind of sit between the vehicles. Hey, Mr. Bo Ballard, have a good night, sir. Thank you for coming in. And it's pitch black out there. There's no light. They're just sitting there in the dark. And the road that they come in on is very, not, I wouldn't say really very rocky, but it's very uneven. And what she was able to capture was something running away from the back of the vehicle they were sitting next to, and it was running away from their vehicle. And what you're hearing are footfalls. You're hearing footfalls running away off into the darkness down this road, on the road that they're. So yeah, so it who knows how long it was there watching what they were doing or listening to what they were doing. But she used to belong to a group that would go out and investigate these areas, and they've been pelted with rocks. They've heard howls. They've heard the singing. You know, So yeah, exactly. Better having them run away than run towards. Absolutely. And yeah, it was fast. So, but and then we're gonna go to some more audio here. This audio is, let's see, who sent me this? What is this one? Okay, now this one, everybody's has heard this one. This is from the legendary, none other than Mr. Ron Moorhead. Now, I did not go looking for this audio from any other secondary, third, fourth, fifth party people. The audio I'm going to play you came directly from Mr. Ron Moorhead himself.
Right there, I just seen movement right through there.
All right. So that one right there, you guys. Hey Sean, what's up, buddy? That one that I just played, of course, is a samurai chatter, and that came from Ron himself. And what he said, when he was up there and they were taking this audio, you could hear him say, "Yeah, that's part of the samurai sounds, samurai chatter, part of the Sierra sounds for sure." You could hear him mock it a couple times, and then you hear him say something. I saw it just run off that side over there. So he actually had a visual of one of these things taking a question, or while he was communicating with it. It took off down like this pretty rugged hillside. And then he also captured this. Now this one I'm going to play. I had not heard this one before until he sent it to me, and it became very quickly one of my favorite pieces of audio that I've ever had sent to me. What do you guys think of that one? That one is so crazy because there's so much going on. And a lot of people don't understand that the audio that I just played for you is one of the very, like, first, if not only, scientifically, um what's the word I'm looking for? Authenticated as being, it's not coming from any known primate. The tones and things in its voice are not capable of being made by um a human being. And so, he's had this taken, you know, he's had this analyzed by some really top people. Yeah, it started snorting like a hog in the beginning. Absolutely. Um, let's see, where they taking it. From what I understand on that audio that I just played, yeah, they were arguing. It was a male and female arguing, and from what Ron says, Ron believes that the female won that argument, and so yeah. Now a lot of us know Jimmy Williams. Um, he had sent me some really good audio. Now he's got a piece of audio from an area that he calls the Area 51 of Oklahoma, And he also sent me some audio that they took out of a place that he calls Xanadu. And so check this out, you guys.
I heard. Ooh, that's a different sound. I heard.
Okay, so what's really cool about that audio is I asked him, I just asked him a while ago, hey, how close that last Yahoo or last whoop, how close was that? Was that like 50 yards away and he said no. It was more like inside 20 feet away from him when he took that. So again, that is super crazy. Knowing that here you are, you're out here doing some investigation, have a bonfire going, and then 20 feet, inside 20 feet, this thing all of a sudden lets loose with one of those whoops. Now, the other audio that he sent is from an area called Xanadu. And let me go ahead and play this one first.
I wonder if you might call.
Okay, and here's another one from that area.
Pretty interesting. That's why I like it. Clean up.
And then finally, I love this piece of audio. It's from the same area. I believe this area is called Xanadu. Yeah. What do you guys think about that? All right, buddy. Hey, Ashes, thank you so much for all that you guys do. I really appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Now with that audio, when did you send it, Sabrina? Oh, okay, you got it right here. Let me take a look. Let's see here. Well, let's see. MP3, I don't know if it will. It might. I think it will. Let me download it. Okay. All right, let's check it out and let's see if we can get it to Now, you guys, we're going to hear some new audio. I have never heard it before. So let's see what we got here. Okay, I've got to format it different. So give me a second. I'll still be able to do it with you guys. Let's see here. Do that. Let's see here. Okay, there's that. And convert it. One sec. Talks amongst yourself. I'll be honest with you guys. I got amazing cryptid family with you guys. I got great listeners. I got a great community. And again, I appreciate everything you guys have done for the channel. The way you guys work with each other and are respectful with each other, I couldn't be more happy. So, all right, let's give it a second to get this thing loaded up. Here we go. Okay, you guys, I haven't heard this before. Hopefully she's not spoofing us. So here we go. This is from Sabrina. Yeah, that was cool. Yeah, Lisa, the coyotes absolutely started going bananas near the end of that video or the audio that I played before I played Sabrina's. They started going bananas, absolutely bonkers. I think there was more than one Bigfoot in that area. And the next thing you know, those coyotes just started going bananas. So we from I want a vacation there. Yeah, she's in Oregon. She's in Oregon. And then I'm gonna see what else do I have? Do I have anything else I can have you guys listen to? I think I've played all my audio that I have. Oh no, I have one. So okay, so this is really, really crazy. So this next piece of audio that I'm gonna play you guys is from Daryl Adams as well. And this is again from Owl Moon Labs. But where he gets this audio from is if my memory serves me right, his phone that was left in his truck. Didn't I say you're from Ohio? Or did I say something else? I don't know. But Daryl Adams said that I want to say it was his work phone, and he left it in his truck. And it's not a voicemail. It's an audio recording that he captured or that was captured on his work phone. Again, this is not a voicemail. This is an audio recording that was on his work phone that was locked inside his truck. She's from Ohio. I misspoke. Girly, she's from Ohio. OH10. But the audio that I just played, again, that was that's an audio file. Exactly, Hillary, what the F? He said he went out to his truck and there was an audio recording on his phone. And he's heard so many things that is just, he can't put his finger on exactly what it is. One of the craziest stories that Daryl Adams told me was him and his wife, they come home from church and their dog was normally right at the door to greet them, like super happy to see them. Well, when they get home, their dog is nowhere to be found. Their dog, I think his dog's name is Izzy. She's not there. They start looking around downstairs for her. They can't find her. They walk into the living room, and in the middle of the living room floor, they find a stone that's about that thick. It's about that thick and about that big around. And this stone is sitting right in the middle of the living room floor. Now, there is no signs of forced entry. There's no broken windows, no broken doors. It's just there. They find her up underneath their bed, cowering. She's terrified. And it took them some time to get her to come out from underneath that bed. Another time, he's walking with Izzy up in these trails up around his house, this property that he owns. And they've been walking for a little while. Nope, not a meteorite. It was a stone, like a river stone, like a river rock. It didn't come through the roof. It was just there. But nope, there's no holes, nothing. Bro, when I say it's there, it was just like it was there. What would it be? I would have kept that stone for, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if he did. Would not be surprised if he did. But so he's out on one of these because he literally walked this property all the time. He would take this dog for walks. I think she's like a miniature Australian Shepherd. And so as he's walking, they've probably been walking for about an hour or so, and it was getting a little warm, and he looked at his dog, and she was panting. And he realized he forgot to bring water. He's like, "Oh, girl, I'm sorry. I forgot to bring water. Let's head back and we'll get you some water." So as he's walking back down the trail that he just came up an hour earlier, he sees something sitting in the middle of this path that he had just walked up. And this is what he found. One second. There we go. This is what he found. He found that thermos that looks to be probably from the 70s, maybe early 80s, sitting in the middle of the path that he just walked up. And if you look, there's moss growing near the top of this. And I asked him, I said, was there something in that? Was there something in that thermos? He's like, absolutely there was. Absolutely there was. And I think he still has that thermos. I asked him, I said, did you open it up? He's like, nope, not at all. So I think he still has that thermos. So, well, you guys, I'm going to do my best to bring a better live to you guys. Someone told me a couple of things I should look into, which I'm definitely going to look into and try to get you some really cool stories. Slips into another realm came from. No, what he believes is that it put it there. Larbear, what's up, buddy? He believes that it was placed there. I mean, guys, there's so many things have happened. I mean, I'll even show you some more pictures that he's sent me. This is a tree break. Now, any area that gets a lot of snow, once snow accumulates on a tree, this tree slowly starts to bend and it'll eventually break. That's the word. It breaks, but it doesn't do this. That thing was twisted. It was twisted. I mean, what can do that? What can do that? I mean, that's straight up something twisted that tree. He's also, what does he got here? Here's a footprint that he took near a mud hole. on that property. And let's see, what else has he said? Oh, he's got a picture of one. Here we go. So if you guys look in the middle of the circle, you see a tree in the center of that circle. Now, if you look just to the left of it, just a little bit to the left, you see something kind of sticking out from the side of it. Now, this is the second picture that was taken. This is the first picture that was taken. If you look at in the middle of the circle, you see two trees standing side by side. And then to the right of that tree, what do you see? And I wish I could blow it up more for you guys. But what we're looking at is we're looking at the back of a head, back of the shoulders, the right arm, the right side of the torso, the right buttocks, the right hamstring, as this creature's walking up this hill. Now this is a pretty nice incline on this hill, and it moved really quick. And this is what Daryl had sent as well. So yeah, Kristen, that's true. He's done a lot of investigation with peanut butter, putting stuff out, putting up in trees certain ways, fastening it to trees other ways. And he sent me this picture. So what he did is he put a mirror up, and there's peanut butters involved in this as well somewhere. But I think he sprayed like cooking spray or something over this mirror. I know he put something on the mirror, and look at the size of those finger marks. Those things are huge. Absolutely. When I can afford it, because I want to do it right, I definitely want to get up to Almu Labs with Daryl and do like a 1 or 2 night camp. I want to have some sound recordings. I want to have some pictures, some video if possible. I'd love to cast tracks. Now, I've seen a couple videos where Daryl has walked around in this area with somebody, and they were casting prints. There were prints everywhere. So, I'm definitely, it's on my bucket list to do. Definitely my bucket list to do. Let's see what we got here. A couple other guests had sent me pictures. Take a look at this. Tell me what your thoughts are in the chat on this. Now, I blew this picture up a little bit, so here's the original that I was given. And then here's the blown up version. Tell me what you think you're looking at right now. Cryptid, absolutely. Daryl is a magnet for activity. That whole area. Now, he's in Oklahoma now, but he does visit Almu Labs. He visits that area sometimes. So yeah, this is one of my it's one of my favorite pictures, because that's what I saw. That's what I saw when I was 12. And now these were not sent to me by Daryl. It was sent to me by a different guest of mine. And Yeah, this is it looks just like a female Sasquatch. And this is what I did see. Um the um the breasts, the way the body's shaped, the one I saw was darker in color. So, yeah. So it's pretty again, so many cool things that Lisa, that's messed up. Um uh I got a lot of really cool pictures tonight from my guest that I had on earlier, and I'm gonna have him on for part 2, and then once we go through those on one of the lives I do again, something like this, I'll just start showing. I'm gonna try to get some new audio, new pictures, things like that to show you guys. So, but you guys, that I'm gonna have to say is our show for tonight. I can't thank you guys enough for coming on. Got to get Randy Harrington on. Yes, I need to figure out how I can get a hold of Randy Harrington. You're like the 5th or 6th person that I just need to get him on, and I'm going to go ahead and write his name down again. And I'll look into that. I'll definitely look into that. So, but you guys, again, thank you so much for spending 2 hours and 41 minutes of your time with me. If you've been here from the very beginning, or if you've spent 1 minute with me, I am truly grateful for everything you guys do. If you guys have had an encounter and you guys would like to come on my show, or if you know somebody who's had an encounter and would like to possibly come on the show, please shoot me an email at the Cryptid Podcast 72 at gmail.com. I truly appreciate everything you guys do. Now, again, one more time, I have a drawing going for this hat. If you become a member, part of the Cryptid crew of the Cryptid Podcast, $2.99 a month is the cost for the membership. Once you become a member, your name or your screen name is entered into the drawing. All current members are already in the drawing. So I truly appreciate it. The giveaway stops. It ends on June 10th. So we got like a couple days. So we're like 2 days and 1 hour. Hat of Destiny. And yeah, I appreciate it. My goal for the end of the month is to be at 3,000 subscribers. My goal for the end of the summer is 5,000 subs, and my goal for the end of the year is 7,500 subs. So again, the best way you can help the channel is like, share, subscribe, comment. I truly appreciate it. Thank you everybody for everything you guys done. Thank you for spending 2 hours and 43 minutes with me. Every Wednesday I do a release. This Saturday I'll be doing a Saturday release, so members will get early access to that. And then again, Saturday night live stream. So as Josh always does say, you guys, if you haven't heard him say it, I'll say it for him. Everyone out there, please stay prayed up. And as I always like to say, a legend begins with a sighting. You guys have a wonderful night. Thank you so much. I'll catch you next time.
I got a strange going on out here. Something just killed my dog.
Something killed your dog?